Herd, and welcome to another episode of the Herd Main Show. I'm your Herd leader, John Wayne.
And I'm Frieza for some reason.
And welcome to, I think I already said the Herd Main Show.
Yes, you did.
Well, welcome again.
Hi.
Man, you're back fast.
It's like the do you want to see me run from that play here?
You want to see me do it again?
Yeah.
No, glad you're here. Pull up a seat, get comfy, and
Take off your pants.
To have your heart broken. We are finally talking about the long-awaited, apparently, novel Dark Disciple.
Yeah, it's one of those things like we talked about talking about Dark Disciple, which is something that happens very often on this podcast. We talk about talking about stuff. And then all of a sudden, all of this like Ventress fan art comes out of the woodwork, and people are super stoked to hear our thoughts on Dark Disciple.
Yeah, so lots of pressure. Thanks.
So much pressure.
Thanks for that. No, it's, yeah, I mean, I talked about it a little bit last week, because last week was the episode originally we were going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be a part of a conversation. There were certain things I knew I wanted you to experience being a Clone Wars fan, newly converted.
I am indeed.
And Dark Disciple, Son of Dathomir were two of them, and the original completed story reels. Obviously, you know, as we mentioned, the story reels, some are completed, so we got to see those. So that took that off the list.
Yeah.
But we still had Dark Disciple, we still had Son of Dathomir, we still had a few other ones. But getting into Dark Disciple, it's just so much because,
yeah,
you know, Son of Dathomir is a comic series, a 4-part comic series, and I love comics and they're fantastic. But the reason comic series are so long running is because you don't tell a lot of story in a dozen to 20 page, you know, thing. Most of the story is visually transmitted, so it also means that they can be shorter but quicker. But it usually takes a lot longer to get places. I mean, this would have been probably a 20 or more comic issue if they wanted to do that.
Not that we would complain.
Well, no, it's not to downplay. It's just it's two different transmissions.
Yeah.
So, you know, talking about and reading them, it's not an entire episode unless we really wanted to get into the minutia of it. Talking about the beats of unreleased episodes and whatnot is kind of hard without having the complete stuff. So, you know, there was a lot last week that was able to fit in one, but Dark Disciple being 11-hour novel, not really something you can do justice and do as a part of an episode, you know, as a segment. And
there's just so much meat on this turkey. I mean,
exactly.
Like, for Pete's sake, you get character development, you get backstory in a way that you never would expect. You get a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And so to really give it some attention, and also because as we talked about it, more and more people got excited. We wanted to really deliver on that, because that seemed to be, you know, Dark Disciple seems to be very well received by a lot of people. I really love it. And so, it deserves its own episode.
Absolutely. I think so too.
And so we'll kind of chit-chat a little bit as a bit of setup, and then we'll kind of follow the beats of the story and discuss the major parts. That's essentially how we're planning to kind of talk. It's not a review, other than to say go read it or check out the audiobook. It's amazing. That's the review. And it's not a page by page analysis so much. It's more hey, we both just digested something. How do you feel?
Yeah.
You know, how do you feel after that meal? So hopefully it's interesting to follow along with, and a lot of it we hopefully will get some input back from.
Yeah.
That's something we always look forward to in any episode we do, is, hey, we put it out there to the ether and see the reaction.
It's like spaghetti. You just throw it at the wall to make sure it's done.
Yeah, and see what happens.
Sticks, you get delicious wall spaghetti.
You get wall spaghetti.
Wall spaghetti. Mom's
sweaty. Yes, mom's sweaty because of the spaghetti. That's how you know it's good spaghetti.
I'm always sweating. I'm sorry. I cracked myself up with my own joke, and now this is going to be
You usually
my life.
do, because you're the only one that likes your own jokes, apparently.
You're absolutely accurate.
So going into this, the two main characters are Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos.
Yes. Full spoiler cast, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Which goes without saying, should, but don't sick your sweaty mom.
Safe bet in general, we're going to be talking spoilers on any given episode. Just assume it, because we're assuming if you're listening to an episode about something, you've watched the something.
This has been sanctioned by Spoiler Owl.
There you go.
Like, just so you know.
So, main characters, Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos.
Yes.
Before even getting in there, knowing the focused characters of this, was that interesting at all? What were your opinions going in on these two characters? Well, and I really want to stress.
Yeah.
Before the book.
I know.
Just because I want to get a clean.
You want to get the raw deal.
Well, I want to see what the book did to your opinions of characters.
I think I've said before, like in the first couple seasons of, not the first couple seasons, in the first season of Clone Wars, I did not like Ventress as a character. I thought that she was a little much, but that was just, where I was with the character, not really knowing much about her, just experiencing the flamboyancy with which she did her biz.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, arguably, she wasn't a character
exactly
at that point. No one was technically, I guess Anakin and Obi-Wan and certain big names have the benefit of having inherited character from the films and all that.
Yeah.
So you know what you're getting, versus quote unquote new. She'd only appeared in comics and the 2003 series by then.
Exactly. And that's where my opinion kind of came from, which I didn't really have a very big opinion from her coming from the 2003 series, because she wasn't that much of a character.
Yeah, I mean, she was a one act villain.
Yeah, she was a one-trick pony.
Much like, she served one I mean, the thing is, I think if the show hadn't been so limited run and it hadn't been so short form, they probably would have done more. But they probably were just like, well, we got to do something. I mean, they left it to where the door's open. She technically you didn't see her die.
Yeah.
That's where the comics came from. And even Dave Filoni treated it that way. Because Dave Filoni, early on in the 2008 series, treated the 2003 series as real.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't really introduce Ventress.
Yeah. Because from what we understood,
she already
had an introduction.
Yeah. And a good bit of that is still true. I mean, as far as Dooku recruiting her on Rat Attack and her kind of being a gladiator, serving under a Jedi, like all of these things come built in. Yeah. But you get those much later in the series. As far as Ventress, much later in the 2008 series.
Yeah. To kind of backpedal, what pony isn't a one-trick pony? Like, what is a trick that a pony would know other than jumping?
Several, if you watch the shows. Like the weird ones where they jump over stuff and they walk backward. I mean, you've been to medieval times.
I have been to medieval
times. Those are like at least 7 trick ponies.
Hey, rural farm boy, tell me about the pony.
Why do you assume he has horses?
Because he's a rural farm boy.
There's more than just horses on a farm.
There's horses on a farm, though.
You don't have to have a horse to have a farm. At least a cow and a couple of chickens.
It's not a great farm without a horse.
Why?
It's like...
Horses are not the only majestic animal.
It's like what makes a house a home, what makes a farm a horse.
Not a horse.
All right. Agree to disagree.
Well, you can't eat a horse and you can't harvest anything useful from a horse. Yes, you absolutely can. It's illegal.
What?
In the U.S., you can't eat horse in the U.S.
We're going to come back to this.
You can't. You can get it elsewhere.
After the commercial break, I'm going to Google whether or not you can eat a horse in the United States. Anyway, Quinlan Vos.
Sure.
He's a horse I'd like to eat. No.
It's illegal.
It's illegal. Well, yes, that for sure is illegal. Eating a human. Human?
Yeah, he's human.
Yeah. Anyway, he's another one of those characters, like, you had told me about Quinlan Vos and how cool he was before and just There was
Well,
one
he's in
episode
one
of the Clone
episode.
Wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have a very big opinion about him before. Like, I knew about force psychometry, which is incredibly cool,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish that was fleshed out way more. But
It is in. It's now we now know of 3 Force users with it. Quinlan Voss being one, Cal Kestis being the other, and then the protagonist of the Force Collector book. So, yep. Yep. That's why you got to play the game.
I can watch you play the game.
But you don't. So that's why you don't know that Cal comes with psychometry.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Are you turning into Deppa Banana?
No, I'm just saying. It's a great game.
Yeah. I feel like half of my tweets that I see on my timeline are about Jedi Fallen Order.
Because it's a great game.
Apparently. I'll watch you play it again.
I probably won't.
I'll play it.
It was so ridiculous to get 100%.
Well, you don't have to 100%
yes,
every
you
single...
do. Yes, you do. Why get a game if you're not going to complete it?
Yet another pin that we're going to stick in a conversation to come back to later. Anyway, yeah.
You keep doing
Quinlan
it.
Voss.
You're the one that keeps finding the side trails.
He has a banana tattooed over his nose.
No, does not. It actually was a cultural thing in Legends. I don't know what it serves in canon.
Just a dope face tat.
Yeah, I mean, it's unique. It makes him stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't feature much. I mean, it was set up to be a big deal, and I think we talk about it enough in the episodes that we review as far as the Hunt for Zero, because it's such a build-up when you know you're getting a new Jedi character appearing on the show, only for that to be a one-off. Ayla Secura was treated the same way.
Yeah.
Luminara, I think, got a couple episodes, but by and large treated the same way. The only real reoccurring Jedi outside of the main cast was Yoda and Plo, really. I guess occasionally Mace, but...
Occasionally Mace.
They had their revolving door, and I get the production reasons why, but it's always going to be a thing I'm a stickler for. And the Clone Wars focused on 5 Jedi, and it's just a little narrow.
Yeah.
But so that's what was so great about the proposition of these episodes, and these would have been the ones to get to know Quinlan Voss. These would have been the ones to further know Ventress, because Ventress did get fleshed out pretty well in the Clone Wars show. She had several episodes to get fleshed out, especially after she was disavowed by Dooku.
Yeah, and I didn't finish my thought on Ventress, which it slipped my mind because horses.
Because apparently horses and eating them is important.
Before you grab your pitchforks and come to our door with your torches to burn us down, I love Ventress now. That was...
I don't think you said anything problematic.
No.
I mean, you stuck... it was first season Ventress.
Yeah, it was first season Ventress. And then as she became more of a character and got more fleshed out, I started to absolutely love Ventress.
In the show?
In the show.
Okay.
Listen, man. Witchy characters. I love them.
I mean, I would definitely say she was interesting. I didn't like her until the book, though.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it.
She was very interesting, but I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like there wasn't enough. Again, it's the problem of having so many extra things going on, and so many reoccurring things getting focus. I mean, arguably, yes, Ventress can occasionally be one of those reoccurring things. I feel like she was only reoccurring when she was a villain. Once she got interesting and started to get out on her own, it was once in a blue moon, or occasionally when it was interesting. It wasn't enough. Even now, we don't get enough about Ventress. Yes, we essentially have the ending of her story, but there's still so much that could be told. I mean, there's more of her bounty hunter stories that could probably be told. We could actually get detailed playings out of her origins. Can
we get more comics, please?
Yeah, I mean, comics, books. I think there's mediums that serve characters like Ventress, because I don't think they knew what kind of character they had until it was too late. I think towards the end they started to really realize we can do something with this character, but then the show gets canceled, and all those plans are meaningless at that point because, well, you're out of time.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, we do get this book, but again, it's only because they translated 8 episodes into a large book. It was expanded. It was more detailed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what really does her character justice for me.
I understand that. I definitely feel like there were points in the show where she definitely stood out as a good character, like
as a well-written character,
as a well-rounded character.
Yeah. Good can mean a lot.
Like the Night Sisters arc, those episodes were fantastic, and I think they did a lot for making her a sympathetic and interesting character.
Yeah, well, again, those later season episodes are really where they started to dig in.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much, oh, she's the belittled and mistreated assistant to Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's legit trauma, and it's also, her finding her true identity.
Yeah.
Going back and discovering her true heritage, only to have that taken away. It's stuff like that that's far more interesting than her being the villain of the week that just shows up, thwarts the villain, or thwarts the heroes minorly.
Yeah.
And, is just out.
Yeah, I mean, she's like the poster child for you shouldn't fight trauma with anger.
Mm-hmm.
That never works.
Yeah.
You need to find help and, I don't know, get in some waters.
Well, that's a majority of dark side users and villains is, they're going about the unhealthy path. And you see that when she's training Quinlan and how she teaches him about the dark side and how to use it and what it is.
Yeah.
It's all problematic views of using trauma for power.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work.
And that backfires.
And eventually, she realizes that. And it's only because she realizes that she's able to pass that on and ultimately be redeemed.
Yeah, I mean, we get like a full redemption story in this book, and it's fantastic.
Which, did you expect that for her character? Not knowing anything about the book, but just in general, when you kind of dig into who she is as a character through the Clone Wars episodes, did you see this? Oh, this is a character that's gonna turn it around.
I don't know. I don't think I thought about it too hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the way it came about was unexpected to me. Like, finding redemption through love has always been a weird kind of thing with me.
It's the best redemption because the dark side is the embodiment of selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
Love is synonymous with selflessness. So the only way to counter and to turn from the dark to the light is to go from thinking only of yourself to someone else. It's just the best way. I get what you're saying. I get
romantic love, not just like general.
I don't know. It can work both ways. Attachment can, general platonic attachment can also be a great selfless motivator as well.
Absolutely.
I don't love everyone I help. Not, romantically.
You better not.
But because I do have a love for people, I help people.
Yeah.
So, that's the idea of, we are encouraged to love. Yeah, like it's that idea of technically you're meant, the Jedi dogma has attachment built into it. It just doesn't call it that.
Yeah.
It calls it helping. It calls it, serving the public. It calls it keeping the peace. You're supposed to do those things because you love people. If you don't love people, why would you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you seek peace for people you don't love? Why would you save someone you don't love? Why would you save someone if you only care about yourself?
Yeah.
So you have to, at the center of the light is caring for others or for someone. In this case, it happens to be romantic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It
could be.
Was that spoiled for you before going into the book?
No.
Their romantic relationship?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That came out of nowhere for me. I was like, dope.
So the
scrappy people.
Yeah. So one of the things about this is, I mean, obviously the show was written and made to be produced for kids. The book is not necessarily.
No.
Let me double check the
rating.
Ranking.
Because like
rating,
I'd say
whatever.
it's like teen, maybe young adult, that kind of thing. Because there's no like explicitness, but there's some smooching.
It just says novel, and I feel like in general they usually specify if it's a graded novel. So I feel like this is just a 18 and above novel. Not that there's anything in here that anyone under 18 can't handle, but I think obviously it wasn't, Christie Golden wasn't writing with kids in mind.
No.
She was writing to write a believable, real love story. And I think that honestly is what works for me in this, is because it's written as a love story, not as a redemption story.
Yeah.
It's not written with the end in mind being that Ventress is redeemed. It's written in such a way that Ventress falls in love. Mm-hmm. What happens because of that does redeem her, but at the end of the day, the running string across it all is that these are two people trying to find a way to love each other. Mm-hmm. And external factors complicate that.
As it can be sometimes.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing in terms of. So I mean, obviously, and I guess I should have asked before saying that because it kind of skews it. I view this as a love story.
Yeah.
Very clearly. Do you, and how do you feel about these categorized kind of stories in terms of it's a Star Wars love story, it's a Star Wars horror novel, it's a Star Wars thriller, it's a, how do you feel about Star Wars fitting into these kinds of general descriptors?
Well, to answer your original question, I don't mind it being a love story.
Okay.
I think
you don't ship it? I'm just kidding.
Like I originally thought that it was going to be like two scrappy young roustabouts running around the city, scrapping up trouble.
I mean, yeah,
fist fighting. Yeah, I don't know, stealing.
They just happen to have benefits. I mean, that your part does happen.
Roustabouts with benefits. Anyway, I don't mind the categorization as well.
I mean, I'm not saying it is that.
Yeah.
I'm saying if I were to recommend this, I would tell people, hey, this is a Star Wars love story if you're into a little romance in your Star Wars.
And I don't usually love concentration on romance.
I hate it. I love romantic comedies occasionally.
I know that you do.
10 Things I Hate About You, Knight's Tale, Stardust. Man, it's a Friday night.
I'm still weirded out that Henry Cavill is in that movie.
Which one?
Stardust.
Stardust? Yeah, because he doesn't look anything like himself. He does not look like
he's wielding a much smaller sword.
If you have not, and I cannot stress this enough, if you have not seen Stardust,
okay,
do yourself a favor. And also, I know the implication that two of my other ones on this list have
Heath
Ledger in it. And all I can say about that is Heath Ledger, okay?
Right?
Come on. The guy's amazing.
Man crush every day.
And that's what's so great about this, and I guess it's the Star Wars in the love story. Mm-hmm. It happens in a universe and amongst characters I'm interested in, so I think that's what engages me.
And also, I'm stunned that you did not include Just Friends on that list.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
your favorite Ryan Reynolds movie.
It's amazing. Oh my gosh. Forgiveness. I love that movie.
Every time we listen to the song, I swear you do the whole dance.
I do. Oh my gosh. I used to just YouTube that and watch it over and over. It was sad and I'm sad, but you know what? Ryan Reynolds taught me how to love. And it involves pancakes and punching a Dusty in the face. Who was Dusty? We had this conversation when we watched this last time, didn't we?
We did. I don't remember.
Because we were both like, wait, we've advanced in age and we know this person somewhere else.
We've advanced.
Do you ever go back to something you're familiar with and all of a sudden someone you've seen in something else and you it completely changes it.
Yes, Stardust, Henry Cavill. We've had this conversation.
Yeah. So, like, the guy that played Dusty in that.
Okay, remind me which character Dusty is.
He's the one that did the guitar. He was the ugly guy that got super handsome and tried to steal the girl. But it turned out he was using the same moves on every girl. He wasn't like... But, like, everybody loved him, remember?
Yes, I do.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I think he's... Is he the guy... He wasn't one of the guys from freaking American Pie, was he?
He could have been.
I don't know. I don't know his name.
Listen, there's going to be a lot to Google in the commercial break.
There's going to be a lot to do, so we might as well get to it.
When we come back from the commercial break, we will update you.
We'll have all the answers, and we might continue this conversation about the book that we're supposed to be talking about. Hey guys, everybody has something they love talking about, and if someone loves talking about something, then usually that means there's also someone who wants to hear them talk about that something, and that's why podcasting is so dang popular, and with an app like Anchor, it's easier than ever. Anchor is a free service that has all kinds of different tools that help you both record, edit, and post. You can also get sponsorship, and it helps with all the crazy distribution. So if you want to get on Apple, Anchor can get you there. If you want to get on Spotify, Anchor can get you there. And you can make money. Anchor provides you with ways like this, like what I'm doing right now, to monetize your podcast so that you can get paid for doing what you love. And so I encourage you guys to check out Anchor. If you've got a voice that you want to get out there, I guarantee there's an audience for it. I mean, you're listening to us, aren't you? And we thought no one would ever listen. So get out there, check out Anchor, and then let us know what you end up creating, because we would love to listen along. So you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's the Anchor app or anchor.fm to get started on your new podcast.
All right. So, yes, it is legal to eat horse meat in the United States.
I don't agree with it.
Huffington Post says it's legal.
You can huff your post all you want, ma'am.
Gross.
But I don't agree with it.
Hey, eat my shorts. It's legal.
Is that legal? Is any newfangled thing you want in America legal nowadays?
Eat my horse shorts. It's going to be on our next t-shirt.
Eat my horse shorts.
And the guy who played Dusty on Just Friends, his name is Chris Klein, and yes, he was an American.
There we go.
He played Oz.
We do know the connections that were there. So, this is what happens. You know what? This is what happens when you don't donate to Patreon.
I mean, let's be honest. This is what happens when you do donate to Patreon. We're just...
Oh, yeah, but then you pay for it, and then it's your fault.
You pay for this.
You're doing this to yourself for free, so who's the real fool?
You're paying for our internet bill so that we can Google weird stuff.
Right. Yes, we're probably going to get swatted for Googling horse meat. So,
well, it's better than the rest of my search history.
Yeah.
Which is octopus top hat.
So hit us back with your top rom-coms, okay? They're not going to be better than what I listed.
I hate rom-coms. I'm sorry.
Well, it's fine. You got to find the right ones.
I like Stardust.
Yeah, Stardust is amazing.
Stardust is fantastic because it's a fantasy book.
10 Things I Hate About You is amazing. It is.
It's a movie.
It's great.
It's a movie.
It's got Heath Ledger with
Knight's
black
Tale.
emo hair.
Knight's Tale is amazing.
That one's amazing. I actually
fantastic.
used a pickup line from that movie.
On me.
It's ridiculous. No, I didn't.
No, wait, which one?
No, it's the one where it's like, now I know how Gideon felt when he begged God to stop the sun so he could have a longer day. If I could do the same, I would do that for you. Like when he's at the party. Yeah, I used that. I used that once.
Gross.
She didn't like it.
So it wasn't me, because I would have...
That's how we got together, though, was because of my stupid pickup lines.
Yes, absolutely.
It
was because of your Star Wars shirt.
That is true. Star Wars, it brings people together.
It do.
Sometimes a little closer than other people. So, I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, let us know your favorite rom-coms. I wouldn't categorize this as a rom-com, though.
Yeah.
There is a good amount of levity, as there is with any Star Wars. I mean,
there's some cute banter.
Well, you've got a character like Quinlan Vos, who he's not quite anti-hero in that he's gruff and doesn't play by the rules. It's more
No.
so that he's just a kind of free spirit. He's very he's got to talk back for everything.
He's not your daddy's Jedi.
And he can easily meet back Obi-Wan's levels of sass with his own sort of sarcasm and everything. And so when you get a character like that with a very easily irritable character like Ventress, ridiculousness does ensue, and certain things do kind of get you chuckling. So for the actual story of this, because that's the point of our gathering today.
Supposedly.
I feel like we're already doing Christie Golden a disservice and Katie Lucas, which also, I believe it was included with the book itself. I don't remember reading it when I read the book.
Because you don't read epilogues.
Well, it wasn't an epilogue. It was a
note.
Yeah, it was a afterword or whatever.
Something like that.
From Katie Lucas. She actually wrote these episodes and wrote several episodes for Clone Wars, and it's a very, very heartfelt little thing. It's even read on the audiobook, which we listened to this time around. It was really nice. And she shares a very good memory of seeing her dad's joy when he would see people's joy of Star Wars. And, I have to imagine that being a Star Wars creator is very rewarding in that sense. And when you see people enjoy what you enjoy, I mean, we can say, even on our little thing, our little podcast, when people like it and send little notes and say little things, like it seems just friendly, but I mean, it means a lot. So with something as big as Star Wars, I can only fathom what it's like to sit back and watch people watch it and fall in love with it, and the beauty of Star Wars is all of the varieties of stories that it tells. So getting a story like this that is arguably a love story, is a focus on very black and white characters. Boba, hey, what do we tell you about opinions in the podcast? You don't have any. Until they donate to Patreon, you can't speak on the podcast, man. Boba, it's not tug of war. She's taking it away.
Taking away the shark because you can't be responsible with it.
Goodness gracious, he's a heathen. He gets it from his mother.
Hey. You're right.
Yeah. Boba, no. Not allowed. I feel like Django had these conversations. We could edit this out, but we're not going to.
We could, but we're not.
So, yeah, to get stories like this, these are not the heroic protagonists that we grew up watching Star Wars. These are not the morally simple characters. Luke, Leia, and Han all get complex when you dig in, but just watching the movie, they're very clearly the good guys, and they're very clearly doing the right things. I feel like some people would disagree with me on that, but they're made that way so that in 2 hours, you can understand and relate with them. They're simple in that they're not necessarily not complex, but they're complex in a way that you can solve very quickly.
Yeah, even
if that makes sense.
With the bad guys.
In film, when you have a limited amount of time and resource to tell a story, you have to insinuate a lot, but essentially you have to be as it appears on the surface.
Absolutely.
So for all intents and purposes, while there may be depth to the characters, they are who they appear to be.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say. Even with, I mentioned in my episode, Darth Maul, he is an incredibly interesting, well-written, deep character. Still the bad guy, though.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He's very much the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's sympathetic.
So
he's still the bad guy.
But when you get more time, when you get 11 hours, and we keep referencing that just because that I know that number from the audiobook. I don't know how many pages or whatnot, but
a lot. And
it might not take you 11 hours to get through this if you read fast. But when you get 11 hours versus 2 hours, I mean, even if you add up the complete original trilogy, that's only 6 hours. And even then, there's time skips. There's jumps in time. So even though it's 6 hours, you're not getting all of their development. So, like, you have to see that there's a benefit to storytelling through novels and TV shows that's not there in films.
Mm-hmm.
So to get that teased out here with very interesting, dynamic, and morally complex characters, it's really special. Not many creators, filmmakers, although I would say George Lucas is just a maker at this point because he's dabbled in almost everything.
Right.
Not many people get to make something so diverse and dynamic that we could one day be talking about this. We could be talking about what was arguably at one point a background villain and an extra on the set of episode 1. Like, this is what they've become because of Star Wars.
Like, Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, he was only in the first issue and he died.
Yeah, the originals.
Yeah.
He wasn't that well. They didn't know their next issue would happen, though, too. So, and I think that's the beauty of making things that can exist on there. You can watch any episode, and I feel like some people would argue with me on, like, episode 3 and episode 5 and some of the parts of the sequels, but for all intents and purposes, I'll stand by. You can watch each of them by themselves.
Yeah.
If you gave a kid one of them, they'd be able to watch it, and it's a complete story of itself. Now, can that complete story connect with other complete stories to make a new complete story? Sure, that's how you get a trilogy. That's how you get a saga. But each one can be taken, as their own, and that's it's compelling. It's great, but it's also motivating.
Oh yeah,
for the creator, because you've got to do a lot of work to make sure this. I mean, even JJ, Ryan, and JJ approached their episodes that way of, I've got to tell this story.
Yeah.
Even episode 9, I've got to tell this episode's story. Now, when you put it together, it becomes a complete saga, but each episode has to stand on their own. And so it's motivating I've got to get a lot done in this. I've got to get, and I mean, even taking these episodes, I've got to get a lot done. I've got to get Ventress to be a vulnerable, relatable, and redeemable character.
Yeah.
I've got to get Quinlan to be a likable, agreeable, and arguably interesting character, because essentially he had no character development as far as the Clone Wars.
Basically. I mean, all of his stuff was in Legends.
And I've got to do all of that in this many episodes in this much time, or later on, I have to do it in this one book. I get one book to do all of this, which arguably, I mean, knowing that it was 2 arcs, there is a clear divide in the book, but they could have easily gone with a 2-book thing. Yeah. And I'm not saying cut it exactly where it is, but they could have expanded even more. I do really praise Christie for expanding the love story aspect.
Yes.
I don't know how I would have felt about it in the episodes, because as we mentioned, being for kids primarily, nothing in this is, racy, but
it would have been a lot of meaningful looks.
Yeah, it would.
Characters.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't have been as much touchy-feely. I don't think it would have been as overt. Like, even them walking in the gardens holding hands. Not that anyone would have complained. Oh, they're holding hands. Then next comes making babies, and
singing leads to dancing.
I don't think it would have been a pushback. I just think, like, it would have been a lot of implied closeness.
Much like with Anakin and Padme's relationship. Like, they smooch a handful of times in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, but like, really just don't push it because it's a kid's show. That's a side story to the kids. They know it's happening, but I'm not tuning in at 9 a.m. on Saturday for that. Yeah. I'm tuning in to watch a guy get punched in the face.
Specifically in the arc where Anakin gets jealous.
Right, yeah. I think that it could have even gone further. And I think, anything in Star Wars could go further than it goes. But that's where we get books and comics and all these other fillers and everything. So the story of this is very, 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 very interesting to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just the love story. I think that's the primary.
But the implications.
The secondary plot is that the Jedi essentially vote, I guess, to attempt to assassinate Count Dooku.
Who at this point, is he a known Sith?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they know.
Good. I was about to sound stupid. At this point, he's a known Sith and just a political adversary and a former Jedi. So they have reason.
Well, I think we'll get to some of that, some of the Venn diagram of that statement later.
Yeah.
I guess from a military standpoint, yes, they do have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the moral ambiguity of this. They are not military.
Exactly.
This is Palpatine's whole ploy, is to break the Jedi by making them move away from their morals.
Mm-hmm.
He can't beat them. He can't kill them all yet.
Yeah.
But he can get them to depart from what they stand for.
Exactly.
Arguably, I do more damage to you by getting you to stand, like, to 180 your beliefs or to go against your values than I do in just killing you.
Yeah, because you're the one ruining your life.
Exactly. And I have notes specifically on that later, but like it's this idea of the greater victory would have been if the Jedi had technically won,
Mm-hmm.
but won in such a way that there's no victory at all.
Exactly.
There's no victory to be happy about. I think to episode 2 when Yoda's like, this wasn't a victory. We didn't win today. We started a war.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that's been plaguing the whole story ever since. It's what's it going to look like when this is all done, man?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are the Jedi going to look like? There was no end where the Jedi just went back to normal. I mean, you can't. You've made children child soldiers. You've made peacekeepers generals. I mean, what happens?
Yep.
It's crazy. And so I'm not saying specifically that Palpatine first saw that this would happen, but I know for a fact that he knew he was going to get them to question how far they could go.
Yeah, I think that he was very much of the school of thought of people are predictable.
Mm-hmm.
That is a truth that is all throughout the Star Wars.
Yeah, and they'll, for all intents and purposes, fall in the same categories they always fall into. Yeah. What's very scary about it is the over justification and the stuff like you say, mm-hmm. where like, do they have a reason? Don't they? I mean, it's a deep conversation. I mean, I could really pull out some of my opinions in general in terms of how things are handled, but I think by and large, it's all agreeable that this is not the kinds of conversations Jedi should be having.
Oh yeah, like my first note when we started listing is Mace Windu lusts for blood, literally.
Well, and this isn't the only time we're going to come to a point where, man, the Jedi are very quick to make some very questionable moral decisions. Mm-hmm. And that's the horror of prolonged war. Is you get very desperate to end stuff. You get very desperate to just get it over with.
Exactly.
And their whole idea, keep in mind, they view Dooku as the head of this snake. And if they cut that off, it all falls apart. But I guarantee as soon as all of that would have happened, Palpatine had a plan.
Of course he did.
If it had ever happened that Dooku was killed, it would have gone to plan whatever number we're on.
H.
And so, but this is exactly what he wanted this war to do to the Jedi. He didn't necessarily want to beat them. He mm-hmm. wanted them to put themselves precariously on the edge, and then he would just push them over. So what's even worse about it is that they unanimously decide. Actually, what's really bad about it is Obi-Wan recommends and they unanimously agree that Quinlan is the best person for this. Yeah. The reasonings behind this are some that I get. Okay, he's, to understand Quinlan, it's not explored a lot, so you'll be forgiven if you didn't know this, but mm-hmm. in canon, yes, he is sort of the liaison to the underworld. Yeah. He's the guy that goes undercover. He's the guy that plays the streets. He doesn't necessarily, so much so that if you not if you, me, when I see him in Jedi robes, it doesn't work. It looks wrong because of what I know he does for a living. It's just like, oh, you're wearing a suit. Cool. I didn't know you owned one. Like it's one of those things where it's just like, that's not you. You are, for all intents and purposes of the religious, very legalistic view that you would probably imagine a Jedi. You probably think of Mace Windu. You probably think of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
If you think of Jedi as heroism, you probably think of like Luke and Rey and Obi-Wan. But when you think of Jedi, very rarely would you think of Quinlan Vos.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't, and I'm not using that against his character. I think he's a very interesting character. But their reasoning behind suggesting this for him is he's the least Jedi of the Jedi, arguably.
Mm-hmm. Which seems to work for them. Therefore, they don't really care.
Yeah. And also, I guess if you want to send somebody who's believably not a Jedi undercover, I mean, it does make sense. The problems I have with this are, and it's not necessarily implied in the story, but I almost feel like it gives them a way out if it goes wrong.
Exactly.
They could easily say he did something rogue. It was unsanctioned.
Yeah.
We
knew this would happen.
Right. Like it's basically like, of course he's a bad apple. We can't, we should have seen this. It's so in the military, there are actually people in the deep special forces that take missions knowing they would be disavowed if it fails.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you're taking this knowing if it goes wrong, we don't know who you are. We never did, and we never talked about this.
Yeah, I saw A-Team. I remember.
I mean, well, no, that's not how that worked. They were disavowed, though. But no, like these are actual. They were disavowed. They were betrayed.
Yeah.
For the wrong reasons. They weren't justifiably betrayed.
That was a good movie, though.
It's for the sake of keeping government and higher ranks hands very clean in terms of we're sending you in for this because we need it done, and if it works, we take the victory. If it doesn't, we never sent you on this mission. Again, it keeps an arm's length between things, and I really feel like this is one of those instances where if something had gone wrong, they would have just disavowed him, and they would have just said, we didn't know what he was doing. He's always been a little problematic. We can't keep up with all the hundreds of Jedi we have. And, we're just sorry that this one bad apple got out there. And, I got that vibe. Again, it's not necessarily implied, but that extra layer of sort of, I'm trying to think of the legal term.
Yeah.
There's a legal term for, like, if I send you to go get groceries and you go get groceries and but rob the person up for those groceries.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not held accountable. Like, if you
He's the fall guy.
Well, no, that's not the legal term, but sort of, it's the idea of if you get caught doing that and you say, well, he sent me to do it. I'll say, I sent you for groceries. I didn't send you to rob the grocery store. So
it's the whole, I hear you paint houses kind of thing.
What?
Have you never heard?
No.
Okay. So in the mob, that's a term for a hit guy is I heard you paint houses.
Oh.
You're looking for, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
you watched The Sopranos.
I listen to true crime podcasts.
I watched a GQ thing on a real life gangster talking about stuff.
Forget about it. That was really cool.
No, it was from GQ.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. He talks about the forget about it thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there when you watched the video.
I thought you were saying that as like the title. Never mind. That was awkward. Yeah, there's some legal term to where someone can technically hire you for something not knowing what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And they can't be held accountable if you do that, if that makes sense.
I get you.
It's this weird blurry area. Plausible deniability. Because basically, I don't know you. If something goes wrong, I don't know you. And so
it's like Independence Day. They didn't tell the president about the aliens so that he could have deniability.
Is that
that's a thing.
Plot line?
That is a plot line. When he walks onto that area 51.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about the actual invasion. No, like the fact that they've known about
Yes.
aliens. Gotcha.
Plausible deniability.
Gotcha. So when he's in the camera saying there's no such thing as aliens, he's speaking his truth. Gotcha.
Which is something that I can 100% believe with our current administration.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, though, the Jedi are very, I won't say hands-on with it, but clear. I mean, they are the one. Like, Obi-Wan's the first one. When he gives Quinlan the job, he's like, hey, you should probably go talk to Ventress because, number one, she knows Dooku. Number two, she's in the underworld. She could probably get you some connections. You know, like, not only are you sending him on the job, but you're pointing him in the direction. And, like, it's just very, very, very problematic. It's incredibly bad.
And the fact that it's Obi-Wan doing the go-between. That's...
that's a very interesting part of this story is that Obi-Wan, for so much of it, has to be the one.
Yeah.
He's the carrier.
He's the contact point.
Yeah, he's the one that most engages with Voss. He's the one that misses the meetings. So, like, and not only that, but, well, I don't know if this is part of canon, but in Legends, they grew up together.
Yeah.
They trained together as Padawans. They came in very similar age, and so they connected. And so there's this implied, at least for me, coming from Legends, where I knew more about Quinlan Voss, there's this implied brotherly friendship to them that makes it so much more of a tragedy.
Yeah. It's so sad.
It's a tough story when you dig into the complexity of it.
Like, I was going in, like, first couple of chapters thinking, oh, this is a fun spy romance novel. We're going to kill a guy. Fun times. And then all of a sudden, I just get hit with this baseball bat in the stomach and just...
Yeah. Well, and I think some of that's why I enjoy it as well, is not just that it's a well-done love story, but it deals with a lot of storytelling that I enjoy. I like military-based. I like espionage. I like tragedies. I like a lot of things that appear in this story. I also like very hard-to-love good guys like Quinlan Voss. He's always been a very interesting character to me from the Legends standpoint. I'm very glad that so much of his story from Legends does come in here. Mm-hmm. Like, Master Thome being canon. Thome was pivotal in the Dark Horse Clone Wars comics. Mm-hmm. And to have him canon for this is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
His death is very different, but I like that it changed for the sake of the story. Quinlan turning to the dark side. Totally a thing in Legends.
Just out of nowhere for me.
It's a little bit more built up, and it lasts a lot longer in the comics. In the original Clone Wars comics, it's a big part of the story. Quinlan is one of the window characters of the Dark Horse comics in that he's one of the main perspectives that we see the dozens of stories through. He's not the only one, but one of the major ones. Mm-hmm. And so... you get a lot more time. His whole deal of undercover work and the reason him turning to the dark side happened because of his undercover work. All of these things are elements from Legends that are highlighted and refined. They do happen a lot quicker because, again, you got one book to do this. Mm-hmm. You've got 8 episodes to do this. So, again, something I don't know if it would have translated as well if it hadn't have happened in a book.
Yeah. How would you like to have read the original outline for these episodes? I think it would be interesting to be a fly on
I think
that
it'd
wall.
be interesting to compare. Christie talked about when she talked about expanding it, she talked about how it was light because it was written as a script. It's not like, you have to keep in mind... these are scripts they're adapting. These aren't, like, they didn't write a story and then make it animated. Like, it's very simple stuff of Quinlan says this, Ventress says this, the exterior looks like this, like, very simple. So Christie actually had... Shut up, Siri.
Siri how much of that did she catch?
It just says, what's 37?
What is 37?
What is 37? So all that to say, to downplay, I don't want to give anyone not enough or too much credit. Katie Lucas obviously writing the outlines for these was instrumental. But clearly what Christie did to translate it to a novel is instrumental, because novel versus script are two very different things. I praise Katie because I know these would have been amazing episodes, but I'm so glad we got what we got in the way that we got it. Because at the heart of Christie's novel is Katie's script, but with all of the colorful parts filled in.
Absolutely. I mean, specifically in my mind, the emotion of the last few scenes of the book.
Oh, yeah.
They would have been vastly different.
Yeah, from like, I want to say, so from like chapter 33-ish, 30-ish on.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. It's punching you in the face.
You're getting hit with a shovel.
It's a lot. And it's meant to be that way.
Yeah.
And you really feel the stakes that that everyone's dealing with, because the same way you don't have time to process, oh wait, that happened. Oh my gosh, wait, didn't that just wait,
yeah.
That's how the characters feel. So you're really steeping in what they're feeling, which really gets you engaged and invested in what happens next.
Absolutely. And I think it's a very well written relationship as well. Like
something
it's great,
benefiting long form writing.
Absolutely.
And as we kind of already talked about, you wouldn't have seen the same things in the show.
Like
they don't shy away.
No, not at all. Like you get a scene of very concise accountability between partners. Like I don't appreciate what you're doing right now. I still love you.
Here's the thing.
But I don't like it.
We're praising that, oh, hey, a relationship with actual physical affection, with actual realistic, playings out of anxious emotions and all that. Like, there's a lot of cute stuff, but then there's real stuff, especially from Ventress.
Yes.
And that, that's where you see she made the shift to selflessness, because she's not angry because of herself. She's angry because she sees someone she loves doing something so stupid.
Right.
And she's the kind of person as she said in her own words, you don't tell her what to do.
Exactly.
So she's stubbornly selfless, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like seeing legit relationship goals in there, or maybe not necessarily always goals, but seeing real things to take note of.
Exactly.
Like, kids, you want to know how we got here? The lack of communication. So there's a lot that plays out that's really real and only can happen when you're not necessarily stuck writing a kid's show.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that we can point to as a married couple as like, yes, do that, please.
Right. I mean, like, anyone in a relationship can see value in some of the things happening and can see the danger in other things happening. It really stands out to you. All right, kids, hate to do it to you, but because we couldn't stay on topic, but also stay too much on topic.
Right.
I don't know what was worse. But nonetheless, we're going to pause it here. And just a unanimous, this is going to end up being a part 1. This is what happens when we have an idea of where we're going, but we don't necessarily have a set, by the 5th minute, we've got to talk about, we just don't do the podcast that way. We used to, and
it was boring.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the way to put it. It was more difficult than just saying what felt right, saying what we were thinking in that moment. It's just hard to script everything, and hopefully you guys can appreciate that and understand. But that doesn't mean you have to wait until next week for part 2, because, well, we're just going to keep talking, but we'll post it later. So this should come out on Thursday, part 1, and then Friday we will hopefully have part 2 out to you, and then we'll still have Rebels Rewatch, and then we'll still have an episode next week. So you're getting a double dose this week. Hopefully you enjoy it. And I mean, if anything, it's just giving more time to discuss all the finer details. We've done a really good job character surmising. That's most of what we've done, and that should speak to the value of the characters of Quinlan Voss and Ventress, in that they're so interesting. All we've done is talk about them so far.
Yeah.
And we've kind of set up the major plot. So next week we can actually, not next week, sorry, next episode we can actually talk details of the story. And with having a whole nother episode to do it, we have even more time.
Exactly.
Yay! So double dose this week. Hopefully you'll appreciate it, understand. If not, I don't know what to tell you. So we'll look forward to getting that out very, very soon and talking about that. And in the meantime, though, definitely let us know what you think of the characters of Quinlan and Ventress. Obviously, you know how we feel by now. Not only that, but let us know your favorite rom-coms, because apparently that's interesting and divisive.
Or if you're like me and you don't like rom-coms,
what's your alternative?
What's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Raphael.
Donatello.
The leader of the Turtles.
He's not the leader of the Turtles.
He's the true leader of the Turtles.
Okay,
the leader's always red. The leader is always red. I don't care what the theme song says.
He's the leader in blue.
Leonardo thinks he's the leader, and he's wearing blue.
Splinter tells him so many times that he's the leader. That's why he's training Leonardo specially.
It sounds like favoritism. I'm pretty sure the Bible said no to that. I need that to stop, and I need you to.
Give me that scripture.
Here's the thing: you're praising Saul. I need you to look over to David, the true hero of Zion. Okay.
Hey, you're all Pokemon Go. I need you to Pokemon No.
Let's settle this. Who's the leader of the Ninja Turtles and who's the best Ninja Turtle? The answer to both is the same. Raphael.
I'm gonna need you to stick your head in the toilet.
Nolan North, back me up on this. Anyway.
Nolan North doesn't listen to our podcast.
You don't know. Me and Nolan North go way back. I've played the Uncharted. I've listened to a Transformer. So
specifically one.
Well, he played several actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. We will be back with another insane episode, and maybe we'll actually talk about it. Please come back. Please don't lose hope in us. Don't lose hope in us. We promise we'll talk about Dark Disciple more next time because it's so great. We have to. In the meantime, definitely check out other Star Wars awesome people over at Red5Network.com. There's a whole slew of podcasters over there that you can listen to in the meantime.
Stay on topic.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Force Losers is pretty bad at it too, but
I'm okay with that.
They're cool guys, so it's okay.
That's the shout out of the week.
There you go, shout out of the week. But there'll be another one. You got to tune in Friday to hear the next shout out of the week. But yeah, check them out. They're awesome people. If nothing else, they'll keep your timelines and social medias very entertaining. Also check out Game Infinite. They just posted a very interesting article, the top 30 superheroes of media. And so
number one is...
I'm not going to spoil that, but I will say I don't agree with it. And so...
Is it Superman?
I don't agree with it, okay?
Why don't you like Superman?
I'm going to leave it at that because I don't like Jesus heroes, okay? That's another episode. Maybe
Let's
Pizza
talk about Gaku.
Maybe Pizza and Parsecs will invite me to talk about my hatred of the most beloved DC character.
And that's why we fight.
But because it's so interesting and divisive, I'd love for you guys to check out Game Infinite. Go to GameInfinite.net. Check out their latest article. It's promising to be a conversation starter, and then let us know what you think. But Game Infinite posts all kinds of cool stuff. Obviously blogs and articles, but also gameplay. They stream. They post cosplay art. They will keep your social medias filled with awesomeness of all kinds of genres. Yeah. So definitely check out them. And in the meantime, stay awesome, stay fresh, stay salty.
Shave the whales.
No. No. Gosh dang it. May the force be with you.
Shave